Hello there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on 5 of the Smok-E mounting drip tips, which I received from www.cloud9vaping.co.uk. Before I start though, I must point out I did receive them free of charge for purpose of conducting a review, but my opinion of products remain true on its neck as always. Okay, there's not a massive amount I can really sort of talk about because at the end of the day they are just drip tips, but nevertheless let's go straight ahead and show them in a bit more detail. Okay, so what I have here are 5 different Smok-E mounting drip tips, and they are the Fusion Tip Luna, the Fusion Tip Tiki, the Micro Bore, the Octalink and the Ramesses. These are all manufactured in the Philippines and each one will come in its own little jiffy bag containing a Smok-E mounting sticker. Now at the end of the day these are drip tips, so there's not a great deal to sort of really talk about, but what I'll do is give you some close-up shots of each one and talk about each one individually. Okay, so I'm going to start off then with the Fusion Tip Luna, which is this one I've got here. And this is made out of acrylic, and I believe this particular colour scheme is called the Crimson Vein. Size-wise, these are quite large drip tips, and they do take a little bit getting used to, but after you've used it for an hour or so, they do feel nice and comfortable. And this one in particular, we have this nice sort of contour here. Your lips do tend to fit on there quite nicely. On the top you do have quite a large opening, not quite as large as a couple of the other ones I'm going to show you, but using my daughter's Toy Story 3 ruler, from left to right I'm getting the inside hole to be around 7mm, so it is going to be quite nice for people who like to sort of do direct dripping without removing the actual drip tip first. And as you can hopefully see, they are sort of slightly chamfered on the inside, so it's almost like a little bit of a funnel. With regards to fit, I've tried these on the regular 510 atomizers, the sort of cheap rebuildables, the more sort of high-end rebuildables, and every one of them gives you a really nice sort of firm, positive connection. And once it's in there, you're not getting hardly any movement at all, just a very nice sort of tight and secure fit. Okay, so the next one up is the Fusion Tip Tiki, and again, this is made out of acrylic, and I believe the colour scheme is also called Crimson Vein. Now for me personally, I do prefer acrylic drip tips or Teflon or glass drip tips over all metal drip tips. For me they just feel a lot nicer to use, I feel a lot more comfortable to use. You don't get as much sort of dirt build up quite as quickly. And the other good thing is that they don't tend to heat up quite as much as an all metal drip tip either. Size wise, this is exactly the same size as the Luna, but you don't have that nice little contour there for where your lips are going to rest, so it doesn't feel quite as nice to use as the Luna version, but nevertheless still a nice drip tip. And again on the top here you've got a nice wide opening, which again I measure at around sort of 7mm across, so if you do want a direct drip without actually removing the drip tip, then you can do so. And once again, you know, fits very nicely onto just about every sort of atomizer that I've tried. Okay, so the next one is quite different compared to the previous two, and this is the Micro Bore drip tip. As you can probably tell, this one's made out of stainless steel, and on the front you're going to find the Smok-E mounting company logo engraved. And it is quite a nice sort of a groovy design where it has what I believe the website are referring to as heat dissipating fins. So it's basically going to act like a heat sink. Now it is still a metal drip tip at the end of the day, so if you're going to use it on a very low resistance Genesis atomizer for example, it is still going to heat up a little bit, but not quite as much as compared to a regular sort of 510 metal drip tip. So the old heat dissipating fins do tend to be doing their job. Now I'm going to assume this is called the Micro Bore because it has got quite a small bore there, or a small sort of opening. And again, using my ruler, I'm measuring this at around 4mm across, which is probably a little bit sort of too small to actually direct drip without removing the actual drip tip first. Again, fit wise, I've tried these in regular 510 atomizers, the lower sort of lower end rebuildables, the higher end rebuildables, and again it fits really nicely into all of those and looks especially good on the older Fugatti. Okay, so next up is the Octalink, which is quite an interesting drip tip, a little bit different compared to anything that I've come across before. And this is made up of two sort of separate components. So here you have the metal mouthpiece, and this part here is made from a heat resistant thermoplastic. And so this allows you to use it on sort of Genesis atomizers, especially ones that do tend to get hot very quickly. And the heat resistant thermoplastic actually prevents the mouthpiece from heating up. And he does a really good job of doing that as well. On top you have a very large opening, and according to my ruler, from left to right the inside hole measures at 10 millimeters, so you can direct drip very, very comfortably without the need to actually remove anything from the actual atomizer. This also comes apart, and then you can use this on its own as a regular 510 drip tip. It fits in just about everything I've tried very nice and comfortably. But like I said, if you want to take advantage of the sort of heat resistance, then obviously you need to use the two together, and they do click very firmly into place, as you can hopefully hear. Looks wise, it doesn't really do anything for me, to be quite honest. I think it's a little bit on the ugly side, but obviously it's just my personal opinion. And then the last one to show you is the Ramesses, and this is pretty much exactly the same as the Octolink, apart from it has a slightly different design. Looks wise, this is an improvement compared to the Octolink. Still not my sort of cup of tea, so obviously it's going to make a nice little gift for somebody else, hopefully. But again, it works in exactly the same way, so if you want to pull this apart and use that on its own, you can do. If you want to take advantage of these sort of heat resistant properties, use the two together. Again, you have a nice sort of wide opening at the top, 10 millimeters across. And the other good thing about this one, it does have that nice sort of contour there, so it is a little bit sort of nicer to use. Very similar to the Luna. Not a great deal else I can really show you, so they are the Smok-E mounting drip tips, and that's as much as I can say really. Okay, so they were the Smok-E mounting drip tips, and to be honest, there isn't a great deal else that's sort of left for me to talk about other than what I've already covered in the close-up shots. At the end of the day, they are nice drip tips. They're quite large in size, especially the Tiki and the Luna, but after an hour's worth of sort of using them, you do get used to the sort of extra girth on them, so to speak. They've all got nice wide open mouths to drip your liquid into, which is always a bonus. And I'm not overly keen on the Octolink one and the Ramesses, like in terms of looks. Again, they're nice drip tips to actually use. Me personally, I'm more of a fan of the sort of acrylic drip tips or glass ones or Teflon. I'm not overly keen on metal. Having said that though, my favourite one out of the bunch is definitely the micro bore. It's just a little bit different to the usual. It's not going to be one for direct dripping as such. You will probably still need to actually remove it to do your direct dripping into the atomizer, rather than sort of trying to get it actually straight down the hole there, because it's just too small within. Liquid just collects there rather than actually sort of shooting down, if you see what I mean. But definitely out of the bunch, that is my favourite one of the lot. It just looks nice on lots of different sort of atomizers, especially the like the Fugatti or Fogatti, however you actually want to pronounce it. So like I said, not a massive amount I can really tell you, so if you fancy trying them out for yourself, go along to www.cloud9vaping.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching. Also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping, see you later.